absolutely had to walk a marathon, and it was only because of my own undoing by missing multiple trams. Anyway, I walked a marathon. I was wearing my brand new Blundstones. I was stoked walking down. Got home, massive blisters on the back of my heels. But I'll tell you where I don't have blisters. That is the nuggets. They are safe and smooth because of my comfy nuts. So not only was I using nut care, then I put them in the comfy nuts, and I've never felt more safe, more secure in the bamboo technology that is the comfy nut underwear. That's why Any Given Sunday is proud to be supported by one of Australia's fastest growing men's grooming brands, Nutcare. Proudly Australian, Nutcare is taking down under grooming to the modern day man. Recently voted #1 in Men's Health magazine with Bare Nuts pubic hair removal cream. Nutcare is revolutionising male grooming. As proud sponsors of Any Given Sunday, Nutcare is offering our listeners 10% off their first orders simply using the promo code Any Given Sunday at checkout, and the discount will be applied. Nutcare, essential grooming for men.
Mate, wow. I'm going to give you one of these when it loads. That was so good. For something that you weren't, you said I'm not prepared for, that was incredible. Well done.
Brown 45! Brown 45! Hot, 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 hot!
You are listening to Any Given Sunday, Australia.
Yes. Hello and welcome to the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast, the #1 podcast in at least 3 households, 1 studio, the Gridiron Australia headquarters, ABC headquarters, over in Winnipeg, over in Minnesota. We are growing absolute worldwide. I'm sure in Mumbai we're still just kind of just sitting there in Mumbai. I've got to grow a little bit more in Mumbai, but that's all right. We'll pick up as soon as the season starts. Joining us, as always, blister-free, because he hasn't been walking in Blundstones. He's down in his basement, hasn't been doing anything. Maybe his hands from carrying the children around all day. At Tim Carty, AGSAU. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. I'm nervous. I'm excited. I've got a lot of emotions. We're obviously doing AFC West today. I'm repping the boys.
The boys.
But yeah, not only that, we've got the Tillies. Pumped about that, getting behind the girls, go the Aussies, and I'm back to work this week. So a lot of emotions going on, mate.
That is a big few days for you. We will mention the Tillies. We'll talk about them later on, but that is a great shout by you, as we are doing this on the Wednesday. So we might throw up a prediction later and see how we actually go. But
I like it.
The man that has all the blisters, hopefully he's recovered enough to go back to work tomorrow at Danny Webb, AGSAU. How are you, mate?
With the Tillies playing tonight, if they're not recovered enough and I can't go back to work, that's not the worst thing. But the worst part about all of that was that spiel. After I cracked the beer when you were doing the intro, I just spilled so much beer over Amelia's laptop. And I just want to apologise now because I know you were on this. Sorry, Meals. I know you're not home, but sorry for spilling so much beer all over the laptop.
I did see that coming out and I thought that was going to be trouble.
Yeah, that was bad. It was real bad.
We're going to try.
It's not everyone.
No, you've just come straight out. It's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yeah.
Not that you're going to deliberately spill it all over there, but no. Nice. Couple of things that we're going to talk about before we do get into the AFC West, as Cardi has already alluded to. First thing, the merch store. Make sure you still get around that merch store. Yes, that is merch, but we're talking about the one that Danny's wearing.
Oh, no, that's why I was like, over to you, your merch.
The merch store, make sure you hit it up. Like we said, 32 teams, and we're still adding stuff every other day when we come up with ideas. So if you haven't got on there, make sure you get on there. There's a few fresh jumpers that I've put up. So, yeah, make sure you head over to the merch store at, Danny, do you remember what it is?
Anygivensunday.com.
That's the place to find it, or on our socials. Twitter it puts it up every other day, so you better find it.
Absolutely.
There's a couple of big stories that have happened the last few days. The 2 trades that I want to talk about, or 2 signings that I want to talk about, they're both running backs. Zeke signing with the Pats and Cook signing with the Jets, which that's probably the bigger of the 2, but still Zeke going to the Pats is pretty huge for them.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you had any contact from Big Loz yet? Any tears coming down, raining down from Sydney? He tried to play it off like he was like, if Zeke goes, but he's got it. He can't with it.
I mentioned it to him like on the episode that we were doing.
What? Who is this?
How long have we been
Who is it? Who is it? Name and
was that?
shame.
Sorry, Papa Webby, I can't answer that right now.
Damn it.
Please, man.
Oh my!
Oh no.
No, so I did mention it to Loz when we were doing the episode, and he almost alluded to the fact he didn't want him back. And I was speaking to a couple of other Cowboys fans, and they were like not that upset to see him go. Which I don't know if it was like, one of those things like you already know you're losing something, so let's act all like bullish and be like, I don't want him
I
anymore.
reckon that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, so
He's getting a lot around Juice Vaughn, which I reckon's another little ploy. Like, he looked all right on the weekend, but just another ploy to be like, oh, no, we love Juice. We don't need...
Look over here. Don't worry about this over here. Zeke going out the door. But big signing for the Pats, though.
Yeah. They did struggle on, goal line touches last year, and Zeke was number 4 for goal line touches. So it's a good signing for them. And, hey, look, if Mac has a year, you just never know.
Well, and it's only going to help Mac be a better quarterback if the running game's, good and up and running, fun. But if the running game's strong, that's only going to help Mac in his what is it, third year in the NFL. Third or fourth. So good signing by the Pats.
But Cook going to the Jets,
that's big.
That hurts.
They're becoming a bit of a wagon now.
Like now they were Super Bowl or bust when Aaron Rodgers went there. Now they've signed everyone else. They are Super Bowl or bust like times 10. It's crazy, but like adding Cook's gonna be huge because what he averaged almost 1,200 yards last year and 8 touchdowns. You throw that like onto the Jets with the weapons they've already got and Aaron Rodgers and like the quarterback that they currently have, Bryce Hall, had a ripper season last season. And so, like, now you've got 2 absolute weapons at the running back position.
Yeah, Breece Hall. Yeah, sorry. But he's injured, so he'll be out for the first few. He's one of those knee bruzzies, so we'll see how long he takes to come back. But that probably gives him a little bit extra time to get his feet under him as well. Like,
it's the pressure,
knowing that they're not. If they were struggling at running back, you'd feel the pressure to come back. But he'll be primed coming into the pointy end of the season. And
was it a 1-year deal for Cook?
Yeah, about 8.6, probably more with incentives.
Similar money for Zeke as well? Is that
he was closer to the $6 million mark?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Look, not too shabby. Oh, I'd say give me it for 12 months. But
for a year's work, not too bad.
Yeah. The Colts have named officially. We got the inside scoop from Harrow this morning. I got a message. A long-time listener, Harrow. Colts have named Richardson as a starter, which is the end of Minshew Mania, is it?
Whoa, pump those brakes. Not the end. We had Minshew Mania last year when he was the second stringer, so all it takes is one small injury and he'll be back.
As long as he's not slipping to third, the mania goes on.
The mania continues. He is a good hype man on the sidelines, Minshew, so he'll stick around for him. But the idea of, and everything that's come out about Richardson has been, give him some time to develop. We've given him 1 week. He's in straight away.
Yeah, it's still preseason. But yeah, he's gonna start week 1, which is gonna be huge.
But I think, and that was known going in, like they didn't have an answer to their quarterback question. So, and he is their answer for the. So he's going to be starting, more often than not. They talked a lot about his ceiling. So like where he's at now and his ceiling being so much higher. So they know that they're in for a bit of pain first year or 2 as he develops and grows, but he's going to be in that starting position just because he has to. Like, he's
hopefully they can. I haven't heard any more about the Taylor situation, but hopefully they can sort that out. And then
had no news on that.
QB running back just synchronized going forward would be ideal for them, I think. So,
that's what they need. We talked about they need some continuity and consistency at the head coach level, and it just all the way down through all the positions. That's sort of what they need to get their franchise back on them winning ways.
And last bit was actually something that I said, it might have been last week or the week before, and I finally actually gone out and worked out what it was. So in last year, I reckon, it might have been with you, Carts, we went through the cut dates from 90 down to 83.
That was some of our earlier work.
Yeah, down
Go
to
back and have a listen. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it is. Episode 31 was a particularly good one.
Earlier than that, I think.
Sure. But this year, so I actually found out that they've changed it. So everyone still can potentially have 90 on their list, but they have to be at 53 by August 29 US time, obviously, so August 30 our time. So there's no, down to 81, down to 70. It's just...
So it could potentially go from 90 to 53 in a day.
Yeah, technically, yeah. I think teams have probably started to get that ball rolling like normal, but yeah, as of the 28th, can have 90 people on the roster.
Is that purely just to manage injuries better, or?
Maybe more opportunities as well, because then you get to lead into preseason games, be able to work people more, and then there's obviously more opportunities for teams to see you. Like, I'm sure there's a myriad of reasons.
What's going on the joint training camps as well now, in conjunction with the preseason games. So yeah, you're right. Maybe just a better or more of a chance to look at a greater number of people.
Yeah. There's been a couple of good little dust-ups with those joint trainings.
Yeah, I've seen a bit getting around on the socials, the Commanders and the... Who was it?
Yes. Not Dallas.
Whoever it was. Oh, the Ravens.
Ravens, yeah. Mark Andrews tossing someone to the side. It was actually quite nice. Good, getting the old boys in there.
They've all got the bubble helmets on. it looks pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, I did see our boy Chris Paul, number 75, just floating around in a few of those videos. And
Big CP.
BP3. But yes, the AFC West is what we are doing today. Before we talk about that, nice little prelude there. Yes, I always look at Danny and he giving me the eyeballs. So the first half brought to you by C2C Rare Threads. I was going to wear a jumper in there today. It's my Kent State hoodie that they sent me, but it's a bit warm, so I've gone without that stuff. But they send you some really incredible stuff. So I can't recommend enough the blind hoodies or the
mystery pack.
Mystery pack, that's the one.
Yeah, well
I can't recommend it enough. It's incredible value as well. It's only like $90. Like, you can't get 3 hoodies for $90 anywhere. So
no, you cannot.
Absolutely delicious. C2C Rare Threads, 10% off with the Any Given Sunday code. Find all their stuff on our socials. Carts, I believe you're kicking us off.
I have the rundown of the year that was, and so off the back of 3 or 4 episodes ago of Danny's great work of his storytelling, and he weaved a nice little tale of the year that was. So we've tried to go on with that, and I shout out to the website Fantasy Points. So they were a big source of information for me on this one. So shout out and credit to them. So I'm not trying to steal your work. This is me acknowledging you right now. But gone ahead and tried to write a bit of a spiel. So AFC West for 2022. Obviously, the Chiefs, they took out the division with the record 14-3. They actually tied Philly for the best regular season record this year. Your birds, Danny boy.
Birds.
Your birds, go birds. So many people are now labeling the Chiefs as the NFL's latest dynasty team after their second Super Bowl victory in the last 4 seasons. And they still managed this despite trading away arguably the NFL's best wide receiver in Tyreek Hill in the offseason. Didn't matter. Patty Mahomes, he led the NFL with 5,250 passing yards and 41 passing touchdowns. He did that on his way to take out his second MVP award. Nice little side note. He also broke the 9-game losing streak of the regular season MVPs for losing the Super Bowl. So if that makes sense. So there was a bit of a curse, apparently. He's gone on. He's broken that curse. And then he went on to claim the Super Bowl MVP for good measure as well. Throughout the year, the Chiefs offense finished first in scoring offense with 29.2 points per game. Total offense, 413.6 yards per game. And then also passing, they finished first as well with, 297 yards per game. Patty Mahomes, he wasn't the only Chief who dominated in his position throughout the year. Travis Kelce also set new career highs with 110 receptions and 12 receiving touchdowns. And he also extended the record, which he currently holds, for the most consecutive 1,000-yard seasons by a tight end to 7. So he's currently sitting at 7 seasons there over 1,000 yards. The Chiefs also extended their streak of hosting the conference championship game to 5, and they won their 3rd AFC title. And they beat Joey Burrow and the Bagels for the first time. For Mahomes' first time getting over the Bagels. And we all remember the talk about Burrowhead Stadium and Burrow owning Mahomes and being the father of Mahomes and all that sort of stuff. So they put all that to bed. They kept all the receipts, and Travis Kelce was pretty happy to roll all them out after the game. Head coach Andy Reid He's led the Chiefs to their 10th consecutive winning season since he's arrived at Kansas City. And the Chiefs also locked up their 7th consecutive AFC West title. Only the Patriots have won more consecutive division titles, with 11 straight in the AFC East in their run from 2009 to 2019. We now move on to how we going.
Keep it rolling.
Yeah, the Titles will be playing by the time we're done. It'll be good.
So we move on to the Chargers now. In the off-season, lots of people were expecting the Chargers to be a bit more of a challenge to the Chiefs than what they ultimately were in the AFC West. That didn't quite work out. Had a bit of a look back through their schedule, and although they went 10-7 throughout the year, they're never quite able to grab a big win against quality opposition. Like a few might be able to argue maybe that win against the Dolphins was good, but even the Dolphins sort of struggled last year. So saying that, they did still reach the postseason for the first time since 2018, but unfortunately, as we all remember, they went down. They gave up that 27-point lead to the Jags in the wildcard round, and they also grabbed another little stat. They became the first team to lose a postseason game with a +5 turnover differential or better. So not a great one. Not a great stat to grab there. Justin Herbert's first time in the postseason, and obviously he'll be looking to improve on that disappointing exit. Positive to take from the year, Herbert became the first quarterback to have 6 players with 500-plus receiving yards, so that's pretty good spread amongst the receivers and the things there. Wide receiving weapons, though, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams combined to miss 14 games, so that sort of contributes a lot to their sort of lackluster showing throughout the year. Running back Austin Eckler, he was a bit of a shining light in offense. He finished the year with a league-high 18 touchdowns to go along with his 107 receptions and 1,637 scrimmage yards. Defensively, they kind of struggled. So 2021 All-Pro left tackle Rashawn Slater, he missed 14 games with a torn bicep. And then their big off-season acquisitions, Khalil Mack and JC Jackson, they just didn't have the output they were hoping for. So defensively, they sort of struggled there just throughout the year. So contributed to their 10-7 record. My boys, the Raiders. This isn't nice. It's not good. But a very shaky season under first-year head coach Josh McDaniels and GM Dave Ziegler. Finishing in now, what do we have? Another losing season. Last one was in 2019, so not that long gap between losing seasons. And didn't get anywhere near going to back-to-back playoffs. Last time that happened for the Raiders was in 01-02, because obviously we made the playoffs last year. Here we go, this is a good stat. They became the first team to blow 5 different double-digit leads in second half in NFL history. So just unable to hold on to leads and close out games. And then this stat here, I think, is pretty telling. We went 4-9 in one-possession games this season after last season going 7-2 in one-possession games. So it just makes a huge difference. Those one-possession games, like it can turn your season from obviously a winning season into a losing season pretty quickly. One of the big low points that I sort of thought was that loss in week 14, Thursday Night Football, to the Rams after Baker Mayfield signed 2 days earlier. With the Rams, he was able to come out and snatch the lead in the last quarter. And I thought that was one of the low points. Derek Carr, his time at the Raiders ended a couple of weeks later. He threw 3 second-half interceptions and blew the lead against the Steelers, and that was the last time we saw Carr as a Raider. Wide receiver, Devontae Adams, he managed to lead the NFL. Despite all these troubles, Devontae managed to lead the NFL in receiving touchdowns with 14 for the second time in the last 3 years. So he's got a total of 43 touchdowns from 2020 to 2022. That's massive numbers. And then Josh Jacobs, he also led the league with 1,653 rushing yards. That was kind of despite having a bit of a stable of running backs, and McDaniels kind of has a bit of a reputation for using many different people through the backfield. So well done to Joshy there. But unfortunately, that kind of meant they were pretty one-dimensional as well. So Adams and Jacobs combined for a massive 59.5% of Las Vegas's scrimmage yards for the year and 65% of the offensive touchdowns. So need to spread the load a little bit next year. And then lastly, rounding out with the Broncos. So the big preseason expectations on the Broncos after they sort of orchestrated that massive deal for Russell Wilson, they quickly faded. And the Broncos just became the punchline for a lot of jokes for media and supporters around the league. Ultimately, the brand new Walter Penner family ownership group. They ended up sacking first year head coach Nathaniel Hackett, I think 15 games into the season. So that didn't quite work out. From the Broncos, they would have been looking for a big return on investment because they gave away a lot of first-second-round picks for Russ to the Seahawks, but instead so the return from Russ they got was his worst ever touchdown rate, his worst completion percentage, and his worst quarterback rating. So Russ just absolutely stunk it up last year. A good funny stat that was kicking around that was in his $25 million Colorado mansion, he had more bathrooms in that mansion than he had touchdowns for the year, and he didn't, which was 12. He didn't actually change. He didn't pass that until week 17 when he got his 12th or 30th touchdown. The Broncos, they didn't score 30-plus points in a single game until the very last game, dead rubber against the Chargers. The Broncos, they finished with a losing record for the 6th consecutive season, which ranks them behind only the Jets for the longest active streak of losing seasons, so that's not great. They also missed the postseason for the 7th straight time since Peyton Manning's last Super Bowl there. And what else have I got? Oh, and they also matched, in franchise history, it was the most losses of 12. They matched the 2010 team for their most losses in franchise history. And that's 2022, boys. How'd we go?
Wow.
You still there?
You did have a drink? Yeah. That's a bit of horse. That was huge. As Danny put in our little chat group, I can't believe you saying that somebody else wrote that for you. It sounds like it was straight out of your vocabulary, mate. It's beautiful.
No, brother. I did have help. As I mentioned, I had help from the...
I'm him.
No, beautiful. That was very well done, mate. It's on to me now for the ins and outs, and we're going to do them.
Rest of the episode.
Yeah, that's it. You've actually said more words in that than you will for the rest of it. We're going to start off with the Denver Broncos, as we are going from bottom to top, Danny, just so you know when it comes around to your schedule.
Obviously, I did it the other way.
Yes, obviously. So the additions, I think you did allude to the fact that they got rid of their head coach halfway or three-quarters of the way through the season. So I think the biggest addition is definitely Sean Payton as head coach. That'll be huge for them. But they've also added a few other players, not really any huge names that I can see in this list. Quarterback Jared Stidham from your Raiders, he's one. Not huge. Marcus Callaway from the Saints and Sammy Perine we're going to go with. I can't remember how to say that.
Did you practice?
No, I didn't. That was from the Bengals, Sammy. He had a few big games for the Bengals. So, and then there's others like Mike McGlinchey from the 49ers. He's a pretty good right tackle. So they did have a few ins. Some departures they had. Again, nothing really standing out to me just looking through this list. Chase Edmonds has gone to the Bucks. Calvin Anderson, he was a left tackle going to the Patriots. Mike Boone has gone to the Texans. He was a running back. And tight end Andrew Beck. Did you know any of those names I just said? Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. No other huge names that I can see. Freddie Swain, he's probably the biggest wide receiver who's gone to the Dolphins. So not a huge off-season. Probably only the real big one would be coaching. That's probably their biggest in for the season. Danny.
I thought we did the predictions right at the end. Oh yeah, it's the schedule. My bad.
Your whole section.
We are doing the predictions at the end.
Yeah.
So I wasn't wrong with that. Was not wrong with that. Apologies, fam. Some of the big games, I reckon, like the few I've for the Broncos, I've marked their must wins because I'm not all that hopeful in their upcoming season. Obviously, Russell Wilson came off one of his worst seasons ever, as Cass alluded to in his little 22 spiel. So a few must-win games, I reckon. When they got the Raiders at home, absolutely must-win. That's week 1. It's a must-win for the Broncos.
Yes. Probably. We're looking at this in Bronco eyes.
Broncos eyes. Then the following week, they've also got the Commanders. So they're the first 2 games, they really need to be going 2-0. If they're going 1-1 in one of those 2, it is a slippery slope for them down there. A couple other games when they go into Chicago, they've got the Bears. They need to take them down as well. And then another big one later down the line. Their bye is not until November, the 5th of November, so which is not too bad for them. But yeah, looking a little bit further down the line, they've got the Browns at home as well. That is another absolute must-win. Because apart from that, they've got the Bills and the Jets in there as well. And so like they've got a few tough games in there. So yeah, they're definitely their must-wins.
Yeah, we worked out it was the AFC East and the NFC North they've got, don't they? So definitely a couple of tougher games. Well, especially the AFC East, like as we're expecting them to be. Some big games for this whole division, really.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for this whole division going forward. And also I think it's in week 16. They've got they're going into Detroit at the Lions, and the Lions obviously being touted as one of those teams that are looking to improve.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those teams that they're like, it's going to be really, really tough, I think, for them going into Detroit that late in the season. But then to close out, they've got the Patriots, Chargers, and Raiders. So they might be able to end the season in a little bit more friendly fashion.
I reckon they're going to end the season on a low, but no worries.
So they've got the Raiders book ending, first and last.
Book ending, yeah.
I've noticed they do that a little bit with the schedule where they can. Seems like with the divisional games.
Yeah.
Just nice.
Next, we'll go on to your Radars. So they had a bit bigger of an off season. So their biggest signing, obviously, would be QB Jimmy G, who a lot of people have touted as could possibly have a big year, and especially with some weapons, like you said, 65% of the offense coming from two players. If you can spread that around a little bit, it'd be a little bit better. But
Just
he's got
make
some two
position defenses. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. A little bit harder. But he has also got some weapons in for him. So tight end Austin Hooper from the Titans, he's a pretty big pass catcher, big boy as well. Wide receiver Jacoby Myers. Now, he's actually won a game for the Raiders already when he played for the Pats last year and threw away that infamous pass that ended up Mac Jones got run over. But they've also got Philip Dorsett, edge rusher Jordan Willis from the Niners, Justin Murray from the Bills. So some pretty good ins. OJ Howard from the Texans, like some good additions for them, as well as some good signings, just keeping them on the list. Some big departures though. Darren Waller, he's gone to the Giants. Yeah, he had a bit of a slow last year. He's on the way. He's washed anyway. Derek Carr, he's definitely washed. He's on the way out of the Saints, although it looked like he had an incredible game for the incredible first quarter for the Saints on the weekend. Denzel Perryman, the linebacker, wide receiver Mac Hollins, cornerback Sidney Jones, and Jarrett Stidham, as we mentioned, he's gone to the Broncos as well. So completely new QB room, which could be interesting for your Raiders going forward, Carts.
Yeah.
It's like on that, it's hard because Derek Carr and obviously Devontae Adams, buddies. And a lot of the times where it was successful for the Raiders, Carr was hitting it long to Adams, which is completely against Jimmy G's mentality. He loves those short, little, nice, tight passes. And so it's like kind of, you're almost hampening like the Adams skill, which is to go long and catch big passes by bringing in Jimmy G.
I don't know if he even has that long pass in him.
Well, I was going to say my counter argument will be having such a quality wide receiver in Adams is going to empower Jimmy G to just long ball a lot more. So
was it the shoulder he got reconstructed? So maybe
Yep, he's got a bionic shoulder in there. He can throw it at least 100 yards if he wants to.
At least 100.
At least.
Okay. Nice. I look forward to seeing that.
Yeah. Watch this space.
So some important games for.
Did you talk about the draft picks?
I have not. You're a great point. So well done. I don't have it.
Okay. All right.
You have one job.
I had one job. I had all day to do it. I was so confident in what I've done.
Quickly. Okay.
Yeah.
Must have been some tough names to pronounce. Only reason he wouldn't have done it.
I had all day as well.
Are you scrambling to find them now or not?
I am very much scrambling to find them now.
Okay.
We'll go through the schedule.
Do your thing.
Yeah, we'll go through the schedule. So some important games. They've got the Broncos and Bills to start, and I already gave Broncos the first win. So they're probably starting 0-2. So the next game after,
got Raiders eyes on now.
Yeah, I do, and they're still starting 0-2. I've got very little faith in the moves that they did off season. Yeah, and looking good. I think Derek Carr was a much better fit as a whole. And
Two away games, though. 2 away games to start. It's always tough.
Always tough. But then you got the Steelers at home, which is very important. You really need to take that up because you can't really be starting 0-3 because then you're away at the Chargers. Then after that, the start of the season is so important for you guys because then you got the Packers next at home. So really you need to be taking out the Packers there.
That's me.
Yeah, October 9th. Book your tickets.
Oh.
Then you've got a late bye in week 13. And then following that, you got Minnesota at home, which is going to be tough. Chargers at home. Then you go into the Chiefs. Then you go into the Colts, which should be a win. Then you're going to finish with the Broncos at home. So really quite a tough schedule start and end.
I think, right. Yeah, there's that middle stretch, sort of weeks 3 to 10-ish that, we need to do a lot of work there.
Yeah, and in that
looking pretty tough.
Yeah, and in that 3 to 10, like it's the Packers, Patriots, Bears, Lions,
Giants,
Jets.
There's not gimmies. Like we've talked about, we're expecting the Bears to be improved, the Lions to be improved, the Giants. We know, they can kind of beat anyone on their day. Like New England, who are they? What are they going to be like? The Packers, they're probably easy beats. That's no dramas. But those other teams in there, that's the easy stretch of our schedule. So it's looking like it could be a painful year next year or this year. So.
Unless Jimmy G comes up and shows out,
he does have that bionic shoulder that I referred to. So
100 plus.
We'll see.
Are you done?
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah, beautiful. I have scrambled very quickly, and I've actually come up with it pretty well. So we'll go back. We'll go back one step. The Broncos draft picks. They had first round 2 pick 63. So that was because they sold all their soul before the Russell Wilson. So their first pick, Marvin Mims Jr., a wide receiver out of Oklahoma. Round 3, pick 67 was Drew Sanders, a linebacker out of Arkansas for those playing at home. And pick 3. Round 3, pick 83, Riley Moss was a cornerback out of Iowa. So some good picks for those boys. But the Raiders, who we're talking about now, the next one, they had the 7th overall pick. They picked Tyree Wilson, a defensive end out of Texas Tech. Round 2, pick number 35 overall. Michael Mayer, he was a big tight end out of Notre Dame. So he's a good pick for you to replace Darren Waller, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon we might have talked about him a little bit throughout last year.
Yeah, 100%.
We're talking about
he was tossing up whether he was the best tight end in the draft. So.
Yeah, lead up to the draft. I reckon we've talked about him. So that's a good get.
Good get. And then round number 3, pick 100 overall, Trey Tucker, wide receiver out of Cincinnati.
Beautiful.
Had them the entire time.
Of course he did.
On to the Chargers, who finished second. So they have had a very quiet off-season as far as additions, except for their draft picks, which I do have. Linebacker Eric Kendricks out of the Vikings is pretty much their only pickup, their only addition that I've got. They have re-signed a few, such as their QB for a massive amount of money. And other players, J.K. Scott, the punter, Cameron Dicker, the kicker. Everyone loved him. He had a few...
Best name in football.
Yeah, he had a few big games last year, so that's a good
position.
Around. But they also didn't lose too many either. So there's actually 3 departures that I've gotten on their list. Joe Gazzanio, defensive lineman's gone to the Falcons. Right tackle Storm Norton has gone to the States. Storm Norton. And linebacker Drew Tranquil. Linebacker has gone elsewhere. Doesn't say where he's gone. And their picks. Round 1, pick 21, Quentin Johnson. He had a good touchdown on the weekend, and his shoes were untied the whole time.
What?
They've put up on their socials. It's incredible. Like you can see it from a long way out that his shoes are untied.
Quick little sidebar. Playing footy, do you like your boots tight, or do you kind of just tie them just to tie the laces?
No, I haven't. I do pull them pretty tight, but I've gone down there just tying them nicely, but pull the laces tight, but just...
I'm tight. I need that boot hugging my foot. Like, I see a few of the boys in the change room before the game, and it's literally just tying them up for the sake of it. It's like, couldn't have it.
Nah, I got the...
Play with them undone. That's pretty...
Yeah, and like a toe-tapping touchdown, which is incredible. So
yeah.
Round 2, pick 54, Tui Palatu, an edge rusher out of the USC. I wish I had more time to read these names. Round 3, pick 85, Diane Henley, linebacker out of Washington State.
We're glad you didn't.
Yeah, So do I. Actually, I would have stuffed it up even if I did have more time. Over to you, Danny.
And here I was thinking of the day that I had that I was going to be the one who had a slippery slope today.
Yeah, I can't believe I shit the bed, but I genuinely did.
Oh, it makes me so happy to hear. So the Chargers, one of the most important games is at home. Week 1 against the Dolphins. Dolphins going to be coming in hot and strong. Herbert's obviously signed for big money. I reckon personally they've improved their team from last year. So very, very big one to come out at the start. The issue for them, though, they got the week 5 bye, so it's like super early. So it's going to be a long end for the rest of the season. Some big games that they've got, which are going to be tough ones. Like they've got the Jets, they've got must wins against the Lions and the Packers. They've got the Ravens in there, which is going to be tough out. And to end their season, they've got the Bills, Broncos, and Chiefs.
Oof.
But luckily for them, it goes Bills at home, Broncos in Denver, then back at home for the Chiefs. So at least they're finishing at home. But yeah, very, very, very tough end to the season.
Yes, but they're also in that period where they'll have expectations on themselves to be at least in those games, if not winning them.
Yeah, especially after like we said, they made it to the playoffs with having a massive injury list. They want to be improving on that. Like Herbert signed his massive deal. They want to be like continuing to get better. So they want to be, not only in it, but definitely winning them.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing what you say.
Well, yeah, before, I suppose we'll get into it later, so I'll hold fire.
Remember, though, write it down.
Uh,
On to the Kansas City Chiefs. So they have had a few additions, but I think their biggest thing is their departures, which is always going to happen coming success. You know, the second, third, fourth stringers are going to get opportunities elsewhere on bigger money, all those kind of things. So some players in, Juwan Taylor, offensive tackle out of the Jags, Drew Tranquil, which I just mentioned from the Chargers, Byron Kawat from the Colts, and Charles Onomenehu from the 49ers. He's an edge rusher, so he's going to be big for them. Some of their departures, like I said, some huge ones. Frank Clark, they actually released him, which I thought he had a big couple of years. Maybe he's retired. But left tackle Orlando Brown Jr. has gone to the Bagels. Juju Smith-Schuster's gone to the Pats. Andrew Wiley's gone to the Commanders, a big right tackle. Ronald Jones II, he's a Super Bowl winner.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he played for them last year, so he's two-time Super Bowl winner, running back. Our boy Carts, fullback Michael Burton's gone to the Broncos.
Yeah, he did. That was very soon after the Super Bowl.
Pretty much as soon as
after we interviewed him, actually.
After we interviewed him, it was named. So that's our boy. He's gone to sign a big money deal at the Broncos, so good on him.
Good on him.
Nicole Hardman's gone to the Jets, and Juwan Thornhill has gone to the Browns. Stop laughing. I was just working out other names that I was going to know. But I reckon they're the biggest names. So as you can see, probably a bigger influx out than in, or outflux in than out. But that's always going to happen when you are the Super Bowl champions.
Did you say their
draft picks? Pick 31. Oh, Jesus Christ. Round 1, pick 31, Fearless Andyke Uzama. Yep. He's a defensive end out of Kansas State.
He's done well there.
Round 2, pick 55. Thanks, mate. Rashid Rice, a wide receiver out of SMU. And then round 3, pick 92, Wayan Morris is an offensive tackle out of Oklahoma.
Before we move on to your schedule, Danny, I want to touch on Macca. The question for you, I suppose.
Yep.
Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in the league. He's elite. The constant turnover of players in that wide receiver room, like, is that eventually going to catch up and affect him? Or if he's just so good that whatever player he's got there or whatever weapons they get, he's going to make it work?
Well, I think he's got his security blanket in Travis Kelce. He's always there.
That's such a big part of it, isn't it?
Such a huge part of it. But I think it's more on like Andy Reid and the guys bringing him in. They'd have to vet him pretty well who they're bringing in to say, look, you're coming into this system. You've got to fit into this system. You've got to work with, like you said, Patty Mahomes. You've got to be able to be open at all times kind of thing. Like, he will hit you when you're open. So I think it's a bit more on the coaching staff to make sure that they're going to be the right people to fit with Mahomes. And then, you know, it sounds like even just watching quarterback the series, he makes sure that he gets around the players. And, I even heard Aaron Rodgers saying this week that he's been having lunch at different tables just to get that, continuity with players. So, yes, it's going to be harder, obviously, because you trust factor and things like that. But, they're all professionals. They've got to be getting on the same page pretty quickly, I would have thought.
And his fallback is, as long as he's injury free, is his rushing game. His rushing game is phenomenal. The way he can rush and then scramble and then throw the most ridiculous pass and still hit his target, that's his bread and butter. So if players aren't getting open on their initial slant and then they have a little divert, he'll see that. He's got enough legs underneath him to wait for that and still hit that target, which is something only Patrick Mahomes really can do at this point.
You can extend those plays. So maybe, your lower level receivers, he's going to give more of an opportunity, more of a chance.
More of a ceiling, like you mentioned before.
Well, we know Mahomes has got no ceiling. It's more, I'm talking about the wide receivers.
But I'm sorry,
a lot of time, you're only as good as what you're throwing to. So, just a thought. It just seems like they do have and it's probably a bit exaggerated, but a bit of a revolving door on that wide receiver.
Oh, no, 100%. And that's, like we said, that's what's going to happen when you are successful. But you're also going to be, if you come in and you drop 3 or 4 passes in a row, you're probably on the other end of that revolving door. So,
you're right. Yeah,
come in and ready to go.
On to the next one. Yeah, true.
Yeah, so my issue with the Chiefs going into this is the potential for a Super Bowl hangover. Their first game, though, is the Lions at home, which probably should bode well for them. Obviously, everyone's touting up the Lions to come in strong. But their next game, they've got the Jags in Jacksonville. I reckon that one could be a tough one. Trevor Lawrence has got a lot to prove, especially after they're out in the playoffs last year. On October 1st, they've got the Jets. I think that's going to be highly touted because it's going to be 2 big heavy hitters.
That should be a goodie.
Real massive. Week 10's their bye. Then after that, the probably biggest game of the season for any division is Week 11. They got the Philly Eagles, and they've got it at home, which is going to be a tough game for the Eagles to go into. Obviously, Mahomes is going to want to beat them a lot more than what they've been in the Super Bowl, but then Philly are going to be twice as hungry as well, going down to them in the Super Bowl. And then their second last game of the season, so Week 17, they got the Bengals, but they got it at Kansas City. So we're going to have Burrowhead all over again, which is going to be a really nice way to end the season.
Nice. Yes. That is a great game to finish. All right, good on the line.
Second last game. But
either way,
close.
Still a great finishing to the end of the year. And good on the Lions. I think we said it during their thing, but to be named and get that first game is pretty huge, especially against the Super Bowl champions.
Absolutely.
It's going to be Thursday night foot. It's going to be a massive draw, first game of the year. So it's massive for the Lions. But a good schedule there. Pick out any game and you could say this is going to be a bit of a cracker. So they're always going to have the toughest schedule coming off the Super Bowl.
And that's the thing. When was the last back-to-back Super Bowl winner? Was it the Patriots? 03 or 4 Patriots? Or was it sooner than that?
Nah, I reckon you're pretty close.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
So, that just shows you in history, it's not very often that there is back-to-back winners.
How hard it is, yeah.
So, how hard it is to come back, and they've lost a bunch. So, it's going to be I think it's going to be a tough season for the Chiefs, but whether they come back and actually take it out at all again, it's hard with Mahomes because, especially after watching quarterback, you see inside his mind, he is so switched on all the time, and he's thinking of everything. He's learning everything. He's working on his game 24/7. His fitness regime made me look at myself being like, I need to be fitter. I just need to be fitter in life. It was phenomenal.
And it's not just Mahomes, it's Andy Reid as well. The way he empowers the players, be yourselves. He lets them, maybe just Mahomes, but he lets Mahomes design plays and things like that. It's Patrick Mahomes, you're going to let him do it. But he's the perfect coach for their system, it's not just Mahomes who lets design plays, he lets design any player. Lets him design a play. He does? I thought good. I wasn't sure if it was just Mahomes or if anyone had a play.
No, it's a team thing. So if the team can organise a play together, he'll let them have it, and then they'll name it something after the player.
Yeah, after the player. I like that.
That's right, because Mahomes talked about
the Pokemon.
Yes.
Charizard or something it was called.
Yes. So good.
Cards, did you manage to get the odds?
I'll get that up now while you.
Yeah, I've got them if you don't want it.
Because you haven't actually talked about our second half sponsor yet.
Oh, great call. So you do that while I talk about American Connection with a K. The lads up there, perfect for all American football equipment and apparel.
Lads and gals.
And the gals. But the apparel, that's the biggest thing for these guys, I think. They're really making it affordable and achievable for Australians to get into the game, because we do know it does come with quite an expense. So they are amazing at getting the top quality brands for people to use on field, which I think is absolutely incredible. And they're giving 10% off with the code Any Given Sunday, which is awesome. So American Connection with a K, find them through our socials is probably the easiest way.
Definitely.
Did that give you enough time?
Oh, I had it as soon as you said American Connection.
Well done.
Danny
boy,
fastest fingers in the West.
are you going to start again, Danny boy, from the bottom to the top? What are your predictions?
I'm going to start from...
No, we're here.
Yeah, I'm going to start from, not what we've been doing from the bottom to the top. My predictions from the bottom to the top. Ooh. So I reckon the Raiders are going to be the bottom of the division this year. As I said, I don't have all that much faith in what they've done in the off-season. I'm not the biggest Jimmy G fan going around. Happy to be proven wrong. I'd love to see him succeed.
Daniel, close.
I think the combination of what he's got and his skill set don't really go hand in hand.
But anyway, look at the schedule too. Tough schedule. You got to be
real tough schedule.
You got to be realistic. Even I've got to be realistic.
I was trying to be as nice as possible, and I've given them 5 and 12. That was a bit generous.
All right, well, that's pretty schmelly. Well, the bookies, our friends at Points, are they our friends?
Yeah,
probably enough.
Our acquaintances at PointsBet, they have the Raiders over under at 6.5. So you've taken them at the under there.
Yeah.
You dog.
Yeah, I reckon if they...
I'm going to switch over. We're winning 7.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to say the overs just to... If they get a bit of continuity, they can string a couple together. And you've got one of the best running backs and the best wide receiver.
Around that one possession game stat.
Well, the Minnesota Vikings are the perfect example of that. So
totally different ballgame. So I'm smashing the overs. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, someone's got to be the black sheep here, and it's me. Next we got the Broncos.
We can't all agree. That's good.
No, absolutely not. Next we got the Broncos. I've got them going 7 and 10. With the way Russell Wilson, good talking. The way Russell had his season last year with that decline, I feel like it's going to continue to head that way. So I've got them at 7 and 10.
Sean Payton, massive in. I just feel like Russell got exposed for not the fraud, but just for it's all about Russell. And I don't know, felt like he definitely lost the locker room and things like that throughout the year. So sorry, the bookies got him at 8.5 for the over under. I'm going to take the unders as well. What did you say? 7?
7. Yeah. So I'm obviously, me and the bookies aren't friends at the moment.
No, I think I agree with you. I'm going to go the unders there, Danny boy.
Yeah. So it could be. I reckon it's going to be. These are the dark horse for me. I reckon they could come out and win 2, or they could come out and win 12. I reckon that Sean Payton effect is going to be huge. I think, but like he said, whether he has lost the locker room, could be a big.
It just feels like a massive wanker. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember seeing a photo. I can't remember who it was, but it was Wilson on the bench, and one of the players just looking at him. It was just pure disgust. Who do you think you are? You have 12 toilets and 5 touchdowns, mate.
Yeah, and there was some videos. I know it's training camp. There was some videos coming out from him at training camp, and he wasn't hitting very many targets at all. And so, that doesn't show that you there should be good videos coming out of training camp because everyone looks elite in training camp.
That's what training camp's all about. We talked about it last week. The social media teams, they go to work, they do their thing. Everyone looks amazing.
Yeah. So when there's leaked videos,
there's that grainy footage from someone through the bushes. It's the real thing.
But yeah, so I might have been a bit generous with them, giving them 7 and 10. But if the bookies got them at 8.5, I feel like I'm hitting the unders no matter what. Next, we've got the Chargers. I reckon they're going to go 10 and 7. I think
you and the bookies are friends. They've got the over under 9.5.
Yeah, so I'm going to tentatively touch the overs on that one. They should realistically improve on last year, but like we said, the schedules for all these teams are so tough, so ridiculously tough, and that's why doing this part was one of the hardest that we've done for this one because every single team's schedule is going to be hard.
Yeah, well, this was where I was going to jump in early, but I said I'll hold fire. I thought there was a bit of hype around the Chargers this year, and I don't know. I just wasn't that bullish on them. I didn't rate them that much, but they are big signing Herbert. Not a lot of changes to the roster throughout the offseason. I like that. Like, it's continuity. I think they will have a much better showing this year. Yeah, I agree, Dan. I'll take the overs. The bookies have got them at 9.5 over under. I'll definitely go the overs. I see them possibly winning 11 games, I reckon, this year.
There's no way they're having a losing season. There's no way they're having a losing season. I can see them going to the playoffs again in a wildcard spot, for sure.
Yep.
I think the biggest thing that I took out of your spiel, Carts, was the 14 games that the two, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, missed.
Get those guys healthy.
Those boys on the park.
Makes such a difference.
Yeah. They're getting the W's, I think. So
Yeah.
I'll go the overs as well.
Love it.
And then lucky last, obviously topping the division, taking it out once again purely because of the Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce connection. And also they do, like, in fairness to the Chiefs, they do have the best, if not second best, offensive line still. That hasn't changed.
Oh, who's the first best, Danny?
Go Birds. Only me would say that. There'll be one. Yeah, both those teams are top two, and you can argue me either way, and I'll believe you, which is fine. So I'm giving them 12-5 just on that. I think they're not going to do as well as they did last year. They did lose a lot. I understand it's Mahomes and Reed, but given a bit of a Super Bowl hangover, they're going to finish 12-5.
Get hunted a bit more. Yeah, but you're spot on. The bookies, and you are friends again. 11.5 over under here.
Yeah, so the bookies are with me. The Super Bowl hangover is real.
Which I'm going to smash that over because they'll win 12 comfortably, and then, the ceiling could be 13, 14, I think. Like, they are such a wagon. Like, they're so good. Mahomes is so elite. Him and Kelce connection, Andy Reid factor. Man, I just think, they're in for another bumper year for sure.
Yeah, you kind of got to pick them until they give you a reason not to.
We've always said that, haven't we?
That was last year. It's a new season. It's 2023, bro.
That's You're going to come home with a wet sail and it'll be... I'm just rehashing everything.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. But we haven't got a reason to pick against them yet, so until they don't, then we kind of got to go with them. So we will go with them.
We will go. And we will go hard.
Nice. That's it.
What a fumble for us. Us as a team, what a fumble of an episode. Go us.
Yeah, we finished off with the Super Bowl champs. We've done well.
That was great. As a team. I did the most homework I've done. And
Cardi's carrying us like Patrick Mahomes will carry the Chiefs this year.
Yeah,
It's 12-5.
The longest spit. I had Chiefs spit, and I was like, silence after you guys. I was like, are you still there?
We're just listening intently.
No, because I had my document up, so I couldn't actually see you. So I was like, oh.
We're at falling asleep. I won't lie. I walked in here cocker thinking, mate, I've smashed this.
Oh, AFC West.
I forgot half of it.
You never do the draft picks.
I was ready. Right.
That's the end of our division preview.
That is our divisional done. But football has started. I don't know if you boys got to catch. I know, Danny, you caught a couple of games, it's just so good just to watch. Your Birds are on 9:30 on Friday morning, just as this episode comes out, against the Browns. That's on ESPN. Speaking of ESPN, did you boys get to catch Hard Knocks?
Yes.
So is it available to us now? Because I was looking last week.
Sunday at 5 o'clock. It's available every Sunday.
Beautiful.
I'm imagining KO would have it as well, presuming.
They did last year, yeah.
Yeah. So I watched the first episode. No spoilers because it is still earlier. I know a few people like to binge it just beforehand, but just another good insight into the training facilities and camp and what it's like. So it'll be another week to watch it.
As much as we give you heaps of shit, like just seeing Aaron Rodgers do anything is good TV. Yeah, 100% it's good TV.
Yeah, and I forgot his name, but I love the coach. He's some of the stuff that he opened up with. It was just really good watching cards. So you'll enjoy it.
The Jets coach,
but
the Jets coach.
Yeah, what's his name?
Oh, you should know that.
The bald bloke. I forgot. It's Rob Sala.
There we go. Hard Knocks, it is. We're on KO. You beauty.
All right. Make sure you get around it. It is a great watch.
That's my weekend. Don't you worry. I'll be watching it.
Yeah. But 5 o'clock every Sunday is the new episode. I am pretty much done, mate.
And obviously, as this episode goes live on Friday, we will have sent out our invites for the fantasy league that we're running, the AGS
for those that made
fantasy league. So well done to the 8 of you. No.
Well, there's us 3 plus
9 of you. 9 of you. I was like, oh, you're doing 11 or 12? We're doing a 12 team league. So congrats to the other 9 of you that make it. It's very exciting for you.
Huge honour.
Prestigious position for you to be in.
Yeah.
If we double the numbers, we'll open a second league. Let's be real.
Yeah. Absolutely, we will. Yeah. So if there's enough interest, there'll be a second league open. But at this stage, just starting with the one, which the invites have already gone out because this is coming out on today, Friday.
Today. All right. Just before we do go, boys, make sure you, to everyone, find us on all the socials. We've gone through it every time. I want a prediction from tonight, Wednesday. Tilly's, how are they going to go?
Tilly's, I've already chucked on a cheeky little multi.
Nice. We haven't had a multi for ages. Send it to me. We'll put it up.
We haven't,
Yeah, I'll send it to you. And you know what? I know off the top of my head. I just don't know what it's paying. So I've got the...
What was our betting app that we follow us on? Or the
Dabble.
Dabble.
Follow
us on Dabble.
Chuck it on the Dabble.
Yeah. No, so I've got obviously the Matildas to take it out. Both teams to score. And our gal, Hayley Rasso, to have a shot on target. And that is paying $12-ish.
Oh, yeah. That is
kidding.
It's a little 3-leg multi. Jump on board. Get on with it. Obviously, this episode will be already out by the time the game's over. So let's just cash.
This is
cash for everyone.
It's just nice.
I'll send it to me. I'll put it on the socials, and then people will hear it again.
Oh, I like that. Good work.
And we'll see how we go. So,
yeah, beautiful.
Awesome work, boys. Well done.
My prediction is we're going to win 2-1. Sammy Kerr is going to score both of our goals because she's... So, and this can come out on Friday because that's fine. If you've got Disney Plus, jump on and watch the Matildas doco. It's fucking awesome. It's really good. It gets you hyped. So hopefully we win today. And then
how good's this? Like obviously we're huge on women's sport as a whole, but how good is this that it's like obviously reuniting Australia in sport again? But the games that we're airing on 7, the most watched sporting events in like recent history for Australia, which is so good. Like I know we're doing well. I know we're in the semis, but even the earlier games we're hitting like numbers of like 3.5 million people across all Australia watching it, which is crazy.
Games were breaking records, so
it'll be enormous when we get through. Not if we get through, when we get through. My prediction, obviously, we're going to get the W. I'm going to say that we got. I can't say balls of steel. We're as strong as they're going to get, and we're going to get through on penalties again. We're going to take I don't know.
So to help me, that means we're going to have to finish
we'll score.
1-1. Yeah.
We'll score. There'll be some scoring because England's pretty high octane offense as well, but we've got Sammy Kerr, so we're pretty high octane.
Do we know if Sammy Kerr's starting? You got to, surely. It's the 70s. You got to unleash it. Let us start.
I haven't seen. All I heard was that Tony, what's his name? Gonzalez.
Armstrong. Oh.
Gustafsson was saying that she's available. So it's like, what does that mean? Is she going to start? So I think the team lineup comes out, a couple of hours before the game, or whatever. So yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. All right, boys, great work, and we'll finish with something a little bit different. Instead of go the Packers, it'll be go Matildas, go the Tillies.
Go the Tills. Let's go Tillies.
All right, up the Tillies. I will up the Tillies.